5 question and answers doing the rounds on YouTube, and I've been nominated by a channel called Grow Your Own. That's been going about, I think it was May last year. So he's still developing the plot, although he's doing some good work on there, and he's also claiming a bit more land as he goes along. So if you haven't been across there, nip over and have a look, and I think you'll like it. So let's get straight into these. Question 1. Why do you have an allotment? Well, the main reason is because I enjoy gardening. I also find it relaxing. It's a great way of chilling out, just the birds singing, nobody else about. But on the opposite hand, it can be a good way of meeting people. We're fortunate now a site where we've got a decent community, a wide range of people, and we tend to get on with each other, so that's good and all. Next question, why do you use YouTube? Well, originally I started watching YouTube for information, especially on the vegetable side, growing vegetables. When I first started looking, there wasn't many channels around then. I can remember there was Sean's, it was the Hort channel then, that was there. Dan from Allotment Diaries, it was, and I think it was Claire, that was the other one. There's a few others, but them was the like 3 prominent ones at the time. And gradually more and more channels came on board and I started watching. I got a friend in a family who we visit when we go over to the States in Florida, and John Paul, and he started gardening, and he was asking various questions, and it's very difficult sometimes to describe how to do something, and video is the best way to show it. So I'd considered doing a video, just a private one to send over. Then it was while I was watching Jim's allotment, he, on a number of occasions, he says start a channel. Anyway, I eventually took the plunge, and I must say I was terrified when I did the first video and uploaded, and surprisingly enough it hadn't been uploaded long, and ping, subscriber, and I looked, and the very first subscriber was Mark Davidson, so thank you for that, Mark. Next question is, how long have you been growing? Well, I've had my allotment just come up to 5 years, so that's more or less the length of time I've been growing vegetables. Although I've done the odd thing in the garden with beans and radishes and salad stuff, lettuce and that, but nothing serious like the brassicas or whatever. Previous to that, I've been interested in gardening for probably 30 odd years, more or less since I've had my house. And not long after I moved the house, I had to redevelop this garden because it was a bit of a mess. And while I was doing that, I bought a greenhouse, and predominantly I grew nothing but fuchsias and hostas, and for 25 years plus, I grew only them. And I used to visit a lot of garden shows and to look at the displays, and met a few good people on the other way there. But it was when I came up to retirement, the option of the allotment, which is at the bottom of my garden, the site is, came up, and I was fortunate to be able to get the plot the other side of the fence, so that was a double bonus. Number 4, what do you grow? Well, more or less everything: potatoes, cauliflowers, all the brassicas, cabbage, olive growing onions, leeks, stuff like that, carrots, salad stuff. In the greenhouse, I've got a greenhouse on the allotment, as you probably know, and I'm growing cucumbers, peppers. I usually grow tomatoes, but this year I'm going to be taking a flyer. I'm not growing tomatoes in the greenhouse, I'm only growing tomatoes outdoors. There'll be the Crimson Crush blight resistant variety, but if they fail, that's it, I've gone. Also I've got grapes in there, so usual stuff on the allotment, plus I've got a few fruit trees: cherry, pear, apple, and what else we got? Oh, asparagus as well. And the final question is, what's your favourite fruit or veg to grow? Well, it's hard to say this, but based on last year's performance, it's a split decision between the two. The first one is the banana shallots, the Zabroon. I had a really good crop off those, and the store very, very well. I've just dried them out in the greenhouse, left them to their own devices, not covered them up or anything over the winter, and the remaining ones I've got, I'm still quite firm and more than usable. And the other thing is, I mentioned it earlier, is the crimson crushed tomatoes. I grow those outside in a mixed border, you may remember, with the cosmos and the dahlias, and some of the fruits on there was absolutely huge. So I'll be growing them again, and say they've become one of my favourites. Right, that's about it. The final option is for me to nominate 5 more victims. And the first one I'd like to pick is Nick's Allotment. That's NICK''S. He's up in North Wales area. He's got a really tidy plot, very meticulous in what he does. So if you haven't been across, go and see his channel. Secondly, you may already know about him, Mike HURDISS. He's up in West Yorkshire, in Wakefield, Pontefract area. I always think of that, I think it's something to do with licorice or something, where it was originally grown, I'm not sure. But Mike's got, I'm losing count, I think it's 4 plots. No, is it 4 or 5? I'm not sure. He's just took another half plot anyway. His growing area is nearly as big as the Yorkshire Dales. So nip over and see Mike as well, because he's got a neat channel, and he's also put a lot of effort in, and I think it's his cousin gives him hand. He's growing using the no dig method, and last year it was quite successful. Third up is one called GUPPY'S Garden. Again, another neat setup. That's John, and I think his brother sometimes chips in to give him a hand. John he was originally growing in his garden, but I think he's just recently, last year, got an allotment, so that's underway and going on well. So again, have a look at him. There's another one, Woody's Allotment. A lovely chap. He's a keen gardener, especially in fruit trees and budding, but he's also keen on his HOMEBREW and all, so nip across and see him. He's pretty nippy on his guitar. He's got another channel as well with him and his mate what do singing and that, but Woody's channel, go and have a look at that one. Last but not least is Alan Jackson. Now Alan's up in the Liverpool area, and over the period of, I think it's about 18 months, I've been watching him. The way he's transformed his plot layout is amazing. He's spent a lot of effort and time, and I think it's his, not sure if it's his nephew or grandson or something, Nathan. He does a lot of work with him as well. So all in all, a great channel. So that's 5 channels I mentioned, plus grow your own, who nominated me. All the links will be underneath. If you can go and have a look at their channel, I'm sure they'd appreciate it.